Have you ever wondered why, just when everything in your relationship seems to be reaching its peak and you feel you've captured your partner's heart, they suddenly withdraw, fall silent, and even disappear without any clear explanation? Today's video invites you on a deep dive into the Avoidant Attachment Style psychological battleground, where the longing for closeness collides with an intense fear of emotional entanglement, creating a dramatic push-pull dynamic. From the very first moments, you'll discover why they can be irresistibly magnetic yet inexplicably cold, and learn how you can seize control and flip the script, shifting from the pursued to the one who sets the terms. We've distilled insights from dozens of scientific studies and real-world case histories into a 4-phase roadmap, beginning with stopping the chase in just the right way to disrupt their "I don't need anyone" narrative, moving on to decoding their tests when they circle back, witnessing the internal upheaval they undergo as their fortress of independence crumbles, and ultimately maintaining healthy boundaries to insist on concrete actions instead of empty promises. Each step you take is not only a savvy psychological strategy, but also a powerful affirmation of your own self-worth, showing that you're ready to move forward only with someone who values both your independence and openness. Don't miss this chance to change the game. Hit subscribe now and tap Tazid to get notified every time we release a new video. Make sure to stay tuned until the very end, because the most crucial segment where you'll uncover the key to rebuilding a steadfast, authentic connection awaits you at the close. Embark on your journey to elevate your relationships and reclaim your value today. Deep within the psyche of an avoidantly attached individual lies an astonishing paradox. They yearn for closeness, sharing, and understanding, yet simultaneously strike at any burgeoning connection the moment it threatens to encroach on their personal space or emotional equilibrium. They dream of the warmth, appreciation, and safety that come with genuine intimacy. But the instant their partner moves deeper, shares more freely, or expresses expectations of constant companionship, an unconscious defense mechanism fires up, prompting them to withdraw, become distant, or even spark unnecessary conflict. On the surface, they appear strong, independent, and confident in their emotional self-sufficiency, but underneath, a profound fear of being engulfed by another's needs and losing their autonomy forces them into a constant battle between the desire for love and the instinct for self-preservation. Their ego is built around the mantra, "I don't need anyone. I am utterly self-reliant, emotionally detached." This narrative acts as both an impenetrable shield against pain and a barrier that keeps them from experiencing love's deepest depths. Each time the relationship deepens, their heart flutters at the promise of intimacy, only for their avoidant self to slam the door shut, to safeguard the belief, "I'm fine alone," as if they must reaffirm this position to themselves repeatedly. They believe that if they allow emotional boundaries to collapse, they will immediately drown in overwhelming feelings and lose the self they have painstakingly constructed. Thus, their inner equilibrium hinges entirely on controlling how close others can get. Yet the true contradiction lies in the fact that with every retreat, their craving for validation and affection intensifies. When their partner senses these emotional swings, it often triggers increased anxiety and a stronger drive to pursue, mistakenly reinforcing the avoidance conviction that "I am always the one being chased." The result is a vicious cycle. The avoidant withdraws when intimacy grows. The pursuer draws nearer when the avoidant pulls away, and the push-pull pattern repeats itself endlessly. Recognizing this paradox is the key to shifting the dynamic. Once you see that "I don't need anyone" is merely defensive armor, you no longer fall into the trap of direct confrontation or empty verbal challenges. Instead, remain composed and grounded in your self-worth, and employ the powerful yet understated tactic of halting the chase, forcing them to ask themselves, "Am I truly okay on my own?" Your decision not to chase isn't manipulation, but a declaration of your independence and self-respect, while gently activating their deeper hunger for authentic connection. This compels them to confront their internal conflict. If they truly wish to stay connected, they must accept that there are moments when they genuinely need another person's presence. Only when the push-pull cycle is interrupted can they pause their instinct to flee and realize that intimacy does not equate to self-erasure. At that moment, you stand calm and confident, ready to give love, but never at the expense of your own value. This powerful opening move sets the stage for rebuilding genuine connection, where you are not merely the one waiting, but the one leading both of you forward. Continuing from the internal conflict, we now turn to explore the push-pull mechanism characteristic of avoidantly attached individuals. The moment the relationship shows signs of deep, intimate late-night conversations, unguarded confessions, or expectations of constant companionship, their internal alarm immediately goes off. Instead of reacting explosively, they execute a gentle retreat. They text less, reply with empty messages, or even provoke small conflicts to interrupt the emotional intensity. Sometimes they disappear from social media for days or cancel plans, leaving their partner wondering, "What's happening? Did I do something wrong?" The natural reaction of the pursuer is to step up the connection effort, bombarding with texts, calling to apologize, or carefully laying bare their feelings using every tactic to restore the status quo. Each "I miss you" message, every "Are you okay?" call, each comforting gif or promise of "We'll get through this together" becomes proof of their love and commitment. Yet these very actions unintentionally validate the avoidant's core belief. I'm the prize. Others will do anything to keep me around. They may not consciously realize they're reinforcing this advantage, but every time their partner chases after them, the soothing thought, "I don't need to change," grows stronger. Beyond simply reinforcing, "I'm the prize," the push-pull cycle sustains the avoidant's sense of inner control and power. During their soft retreat, they dictate the pace of connection and feel safe in maintaining their independence. When the pursued partner stubbornly tries to narrow the distance, the avoidant privately revels in the psychological triumph. "I can withdraw at will and still be pursued and cared for. That proves I'm in control." Then, whenever they return with an emotionally charged message or a poignant meeting, the pursuer becomes even more convinced by this transactional model of love unwittingly repeating the same old script. This back and forth of retreat and chase gradually engulfs both parties in emotional turbulence. The avoidant satisfies their need to assert independence while still receiving intensified attention. The pursuer drains their mental energy, living in anxiety and anticipation of each response. This cycle not only erodes the pursuer's self-confidence, but also deepens the avoidant's conviction that sustainable emotional investment is unnecessary, that relationships are power games where the one who pulls away wins. To break free from this push-pull, the next step is to force them to face reality. Without a reciprocal bond, without give and take, it's they who will ultimately fail to maintain connection. By ceasing your pursuit, holding firm boundaries, and refusing to let them easily pull the conversation back to safety, you shatter the dramatic, almost unconscious reaction loop. That is why the halt the chase tactic is key to temporarily dismantling their accustomed role as the one being pursued. When they realize that their silence or withdrawal no longer provokes your confusion, apologies, or frantic repair attempts, a new phase emerges: caution and internal questioning. At this point, they can no longer rely on your chasing response and must ask themselves, "Am I truly okay being left behind?" This moment is the crucial pivot toward the next stage of the journey. From mere withdrawal, they will begin to experiment with new approach signals, no longer mere tests, but tentative steps toward genuine openness if they dare to overcome their fear of losing autonomy. And that brings us to the exploration of the testing phase, where you continue to stand your ground to distinguish between power plays and authentic return. Following the push-pull phase, we arrive at the pivotal strategy, attacking the avoidance ego by halting your pursuit. When you proactively cease all chasing efforts, no more texts, no calls, no immediate replies, you are not simply altering surface behavior. You are directly challenging the deep-seated belief, "I am always the one being pursued," that they uphold. Pausing the chase is like placing a massive boulder before their smoothly turning wheel, jolting their internal defense system into recalibration. With no incoming pings of longing messages, no sense of security that they can withdraw at will and still be chased, the avoidant suddenly finds themselves in unfamiliar territory. They no longer know how to elicit your return to the emotional game. The first stage they encounter is confusion. The abrupt halt in your pursuit leaves them bewildered because their habitual assumptions no longer apply. They question themselves. Why haven't they texted back? Did I do something wrong? They sift through mental scenarios. Maybe they offended you. Maybe you're upset but receive no confirming signals. This confusion signals the initial cracks in their avoidant ego. For the first time, withdrawal equals pursuit fails to hold true. Next comes the testing phase. By sending subtle trial signals, they attempt to gauge whether your resolve is genuine. This might take the form of a gentle good morning text after days of silence, or tagging you in a story in hopes that you'll respond. They might arrange a sudden coffee meetup, or coincidentally appear where you normally frequent. The purpose of this testing phase is to discover the boundary you've set if you move. They instantly know the chase strategy has failed. When these trial signals fail to provoke the expected response, the avoidant enters the wavering phase. They begin to doubt the assumptions. I'm always in control, and any distance can be filled by the other's pursuit. They feel the emptiness they themselves have created and realize it cannot be automatically filled by the cycle of retreat and chase. The belief I don't need anyone shatters piece by piece, accompanied by the fear of losing the power game they once thought trivial. Finally, they reach the stage of realization that they truly need connection. Once their wavering intensifies beyond tolerable thresholds, they start to acknowledge that intimacy is not a threat, but a fundamental human need. Your silence is no longer an easy opportunity to resume the chase, but a space forcing them to face their long-suppressed emotions. They comprehend that the value of a relationship does not hinge on who withdraws or pursues, but on genuine reciprocity, giving and receiving in balance. It is at this moment that they may courageously approach you with sincerity, openly sharing their fears and needs, and you step into a new realm of communication where both of you can build a relationship grounded in understanding, mutual respect, and concrete commitments. Detailing these 4 stages not only illuminates the internal journey an avoidant must undertake when confronted with a halted chase, but also provides you with a precise action map to maintain firm boundaries, being tender enough for them to feel safe, yet strong enough to avoid slipping into former pattern. In doing so, you not only temporarily dismantle the avoidance ego structure, but also pave the way for a fresh, healthier, and more sustainable connection built on autonomy and the true value of both partners. After traversing the stage of realizing their true need for connection, avoidantly attached individuals often return in ways that surprise and require your discernment. This comeback is no longer merely a cunning probe as before, but usually carries a more sincere intention. They may openly share emotions, admit their mistakes, and even commit to concrete actions to sustain the relationship. However, underlying this proactive re-entry are 2 entirely different motives. The first is vulnerability, genuine openness, where they truly recognize the relationship's value and are willing to take responsibility for the harm they've caused. They begin to voice thoughts they once suppressed, fears of dependency, the pressure of upholding an independent image, and the yearning to rediscover safety within closeness. Their confessions can be brief yet profound, such as, "I've realized how important you are to me," or "I'm sorry for withdrawing without explanation. I want to prove it through my actions." They don't merely promise. They offer specific examples. "From now on, I'll reply within an hour." Or, "Let's reserve Friday nights every week for uninterrupted conversation." This denotes true internal change, as they accept crossing the barrier of self-reliance to connect more deeply. Conversely, the second motive, ego repair, is a power restoration strategy. Rather than intending genuine change, they aim to reestablish their status as the one who doesn't need anyone within the relationship. They might reappear with romantic gestures, flood you with affectionate messages, or pledge, "I've realized my mistake, this time I'll be different." Yet beneath these gestures lies the goal of demonstrating that they can still win you over at any moment. Their words and deeds at this stage operate like a game to soothe the blow to their ego after their avoidance strategy failed. They test whether their power persists. If you easily welcome them back, they cement the belief, I still control the game. The nuanced difference between these two motives lies in the intensity and quality of action. If driven by vulnerability, they will regularly engage in emotional discussions, check in on how you're feeling, and proactively propose long-term solutions to see if the relationship can endure. In contrast, if driven by ego repair, they focus on dazzling gestures to give you a momentary rush without addressing root issues, surprise gifts, flashy compliments, or brief, candlelit dates. You can identify vulnerability by their willingness to listen and accept feedback. They don't become defensive when you voice complaints, but treat them as opportunities to improve. They might say, I understand you're hurt, and I want us to find ways to prevent this from happening again. Conversely, ego repair shows when they avoid serious emotional conversations or quickly shift to lighter subjects, trying to erase disagreements. They're unconcerned with underlying causes, seeking only to win your favor and prove their attractiveness remains intact. When vulnerability predominates, you can welcome their return with an open heart, setting clear agreements so both can honor their commitments and monitor long-term actions. However, if you suspect ego repair motives, re-engaging in the old relationship pattern now may only reinforce avoidance habits. Instead, continue to maintain firm boundaries, require open emotional exchanges, schedule commitment reviews, and, most importantly, track whether they translate promises into behavior. At this juncture, you play the role of the catalyst for a sustainable relationship. You're not merely awaiting words, but scrutinizing every step. By doing so, you establish that their return must rest on a new foundation where genuine vulnerability is embraced and ego repair is managed. When their deeds align with sincerity, the relationship enters a phase of reconstruction where both parties share responsibility for nurturing the bond, free from the old push-pull power plays. Following the avoidance return, the critical next step is your wise response, the moment that determines whether the relationship truly turns a page or slips back into old, unhealthy patterns. First and foremost, you must maintain the boundaries you previously set, resisting the urge to throw them open simply because the avoidant has reappeared. Their comeback, no matter how adorned with promises and short-term gestures, does not automatically reset the relationship to square one. Rather than rushing to answer every text or call, remain composed and observe their genuine attitudes and behaviors. Do their actions match their words, or is this yet another well-rehearsed performance to rekindle emotion? Make it clear they are allowed back in, not by default, but as a conscious choice you make only when they demonstrate sustainable change. Next, demand concrete proof through specific actions, not merely sweet words, but clear commitments that allow you to feel they truly prioritize this relationship. For instance, if they promise to dedicate weekly time for conversation, suggest a fixed schedule and monitor their follow-through. If they claim they want to become more open, require them to share their emotions at the first sign of distress, rather than waiting until a full-blown crisis. Words alone without corresponding deeds are empty promises. Insisting on tangible evidence is how you uphold self-respect and set the standard for the partnership. Finally, continue to showcase your independence and self-worth, so they understand you're with them, not out of desperate need for affection, but out of a genuine choice to stand by someone who values you. Express this through maintaining personal passions, your career, hobbies, friendships alongside emotional connection. When you remain joyful in your own life, without letting the relationship monopolize all your energy, you send the message, I don't need you to feel whole, yet I choose to be with you because I believe in our value. Such independence not only fortifies your self-esteem, but also evokes their respect and desire for a mutually beneficial partnership. By combining these three principles of holding firm boundaries, requiring concrete actions, and preserving your independence, you transform the dynamic from a power-laden push-pull game into a safe space where both partners are encouraged to express needs, respect limits, and commit to co-creating the relationship. The avoidant will come to see that connection isn't sustained by their ability to manipulate pursuit, but by genuine mutual investment. From there, the relationship transcends fear and withdrawal to flourish on the solid foundations of trust, respect, and shared responsibility, opening a truly authentic next chapter for you both. Understanding and transforming avoidant attachment is not a sprint, but a journey of patience, self-respect, and strategy. From recognizing the internal paradox and exploring the push-pull dynamic to challenging their ego by halting the chase, we've methodically created space for genuine connection. When the avoidant returns, maintain firm boundaries and demand concrete actions. Don't let empty promises reel you back into old patterns. By continuing to demonstrate your independence and self-worth, you protect yourself and send a clear message. Relationships thrive on mutual respect and balanced give and take. Consider this your action roadmap for cultivating healthy bonds. Don't hesitate to pause, don't fear making demands, and always honor your own value. When you move forward with confidence and consistency, you not only help your avoidant partner recognize the importance of sincerity, but also assert your right to be loved just enough security, enough freedom. If you found these insights valuable, please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss our next videos. Share your experiences and questions in the comments. We're eager to accompany you on the path to building truly sustainable, trustworthy relationships.